So I want to say that I'm sorry for the recording for the sound quality in this recording. Something happened with the settings in the OBS software that I'm using to record this stuff, and with this being said, I'm going to leave you with a video. Hope you enjoy. Okay, let's get the show on the road for real this time, because I spent quite a lot of time trying to figure out how to start this. And I know I said that we want us to work together and do assignments and exercises from the courses that we find online on drawing, digital painting and so on. The problem is, after I got into it, I updated my operating system and it couldn't find my video card, and I couldn't really do proper recordings and until now. So yesterday I managed to make it work, and now we're gonna go to the screen, and over here we see the Crayons and Daggers website, which I hope that you're going to, check out if you haven't done so yet. And over here we're with the From a Cube to Cathedral course from Israel Carrion, which is really awesome. And let's take a look at the first assignment. The first part of the first assignment, actually, because I don't think I have time to do the second assignment. And these assignments are meant to be done in a week anyway, so anyway, let's take a look over here. It says to place shapes, which is, well, more specifically it's rectangular shapes in 1-point perspective with overlaps and so on, and we have to draw this one box with a smiley face on it, place it in perspective, and then put it at a different level or in a different location, but it has to be the same exact box. So this is going to be a good exercise for us of transferring scale and depth in perspective, in 1-point perspective. Before we get into it, I want to show you some things in Krita, of course. A tip. Let's start with a tip, because why not? So over here I have these design templates, and in design templates I made my own template, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually make it. It's a really simple thing to do. The first thing to notice is the icon over here. When you want to save it as a template, it's going to ask you if you want a custom icon to it, and you probably want to, because otherwise it will just give you like a blank white icon. So you just have to prepare that beforehand, and it's 128 by 128 pixels wide, or size. I'm going to use it and I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I've made over here now, because I'm using the beta version of Krita, version 4. Changing the color space is not going to work for me. I don't know why. I tried it, and it's I can't use the Ctrl-Y shortcut to change it to grayscale, which is what I normally do to check values. So because of that, I created this template where I have this black, if I put it on normal blend, I have this very simple black layer on top of everything, and I put it on color. And whenever I turn it on, I'm just going to demonstrate quickly over here. Whenever I turn it on, it will give me the values. That's one way of doing it. It was just more convenient for me to just use the Ctrl-Y shortcut. But this is the second approach, so it's not that bad. Anyway, moving on to creating the actual template. So you make your image, you give it a pixel and so on. Then you create your stack of layers the way you want. I have over here a group, I have an unsharp mask, and I have this value check layer and the background. And it's important, if you are into these details, let's say, before saving it as a template, be sure to check or select the layer that you want to start on when you create a new document. So you just go to create template from image in the file menu, and over here you're going to put it in some group, or you can add a group and then you name it. And over here you either have the preview, but obviously if you don't want to paint on a template, then you don't want the preview, so you want a custom. So when you select custom, you have the menu, and you're going to need a file for it, and it's a 128 by 128 pixel image that you need. And that's it for the tip today. Now getting on into the assignment, I'm going to select like this standard pen. It's nothing fancy, it's just like has a little bit of noise to it, and that's it. And before going into actually doing the assignment per se, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes, and it's a good practice for you to do this as well. It's a good practice to do it like 5 minutes, even 5 minutes before any other painting that you do, just to get in the mileage first of all, and to get your hand working and so on. So I am going to start off by, I want to train myself to do straight lines. The first thing that I want to do, you might be able to like draw straight lines just like that, so you might actually be able to do this, but the point is not to just draw only straight lines randomly. There's a couple of exercises that you can try. First of all, pick 2 points, and the challenge is to draw a straight line from one point to the other. So it's also about precision. It's not just straight through them like this, but you have to start at one point and stop at the other point. That's the challenge. One way to do it is to like make these ghost lines a few times to get your like motion down, and then with a little bit of luck you are able to actually do it properly. And I'm not feeling very confident here, especially when I talk about this stuff. Yeah, like so. Something like that. I mean, you can see it's not straight, but okay, let's move on. So I'm gonna do a bunch of these. Another good exercise is going to be to draw on top of your line a number of times, like, you know, 10 times or something like that. So what you want to do is have one line and then draw exactly on top of it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the challenge over here is to, you know, keep it as close to the other line as well. And there's a couple of things that can go wrong over here. Like, one of them is if you go too fast, you might end up with like bendy lines like so. So when you have this happening, then you have to slow down a bit, and you have to reach that sweet spot, because the other thing that can happen is you go too slow, and if you go too slow you have this jagged line like this, and you don't want that. So you have to find your natural speed. Let's try to make a square, and over here you are going to see me turn the canvas, make it more natural for me to draw the line. If you want to draw like this, it's a very unnatural position, as you can see, and it definitely won't help you with the straightness of the line. Okay, let's do some more. 3 more minutes to go. Another thing that might happen to you, and as you just saw there a couple of seconds ago, is when you're drawing this, if you have your hand and you're used to just using Ctrl-Z, 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 that's bad. So I don't even know how many times I used it, but just own your mistakes, because this exercise isn't meant to like make you feel good that you're so precise and whatever. No, you just have to force yourself, and this is why some classes, some like real classes that you can take with instructors, they force you to use markers. So whenever you make a mistake, you can't erase it with a gum or an eraser or whatever it's called in English. So I move my hand away from the keyboard, so I am not inclined to press Ctrl-Z anymore. And it might feel very uncomfortable at first, but just do it. Okay, so now that this is done, let's move on to the actual practice. Move on to the screen. Okay, start over. I think I'm going to actually lower the opacity of this. Ctrl-U to bring up this filter. Just a tiny, not the opacity, the light. The idea over here is to make a crappy sketch. This would be our vanishing point. And let's create a grid first. So on this layer everything is going to be at some point, the opacity of the layer is going to go down, and we're going to sketch on top of that. It's really tempting to use the assistance at this point. Oh yeah, and remember what I said about that tangent? That when you have a vertical that goes exactly on the vanishing point, we don't want to do that. So let's try and make like a bridge, pick the height of it, and let's see how we can find the intersection points on this face. So basically we need to extend these lines on the ground. So whenever you want to find intersections, you have to first find the intersections with the lines on the ground, and then you can extend that up, those up, and you'll see what I mean here immediately. We have the intersection with the face at the bottom level on the ground, and you use the ground because everything is on the ground. It's the common place, and even if you have like stuff that is floating in the atmosphere or something, floating in the above over here, then you will still project those lines to the ground, the vertical lines, and then find the intersection with the buildings on the ground first and then move up. Okay, so we know those now, and then we can do some verticals going through those lines, and then we can draw the horizontals here that define the bridge, like so. Let's make a box with a smiley face on it and try to place it somewhere else in space. And this is going to be the final point before I move to the cleaning phase and then finishing up. Okay, so this is going to be our box. Let's say we want to place it on top of this building here at the edge. First we need to find out the height of the front face at this depth. So this is here and this is here. And so to do that we need to I take yeah, let's take this as a reference, or no, let's take this because we see better this face. So we have this thing here and we extend our line like so, and this one is already extended, and then we need to find the intersection with this like so. So there's a tiny bit of distance between the back and the front of our next box. So now that we have this, there's no other way around this. You either measure it or, you know, now that we have it at this depth, that we just need to place the same height basically wherever we want, because on the plane that is facing us, is perpendicular to our vision, the heights don't change. They only change when you go in depth. So because of that I can also duplicate this and have it ready to make distance between. But first we need to calculate it, and that's where this comes in. This distance here. Same thing, I just copy it like so, placed it very close, and this is our box, our face. And now to calculate the depth, that's a bit complicated, and we need to just eyeball it. We can calculate thicknesses in depth using that method with the calculating the center, going through just to find the centers, the intersection of the line that goes to the vanishing point with our verticals that are on the box, and then we can extend with a diagonal method. So if you're unsure of what I'm talking about, you need to check out my videos on the notes. We just found the depth, which is this, for another box placed immediately after this, but as we can see we have a little bit of distance over here between this box and this, and we just need to like eyeball it. So for that I'm going to calculate where this would go by making that intersection going. Actually I can make the intersection on the other side because it's a bit less crowded, so here, and then draw a vertical line if I can. Doesn't have to be perfect, like this is eyeballing anyway. Okay, and then because I know that there's this distance anyway, I'm just going to move it very slightly here. This has to go to the vanishing point, this would be the intersection, and this is the other part of our box, like so. And now that we have all of this mess, we can turn the opacity down, make a new layer on top, and start cleaning it. And for this step I'm going to actually use the line tool, but before that I just remember that I have to correct this horizontal problem just a tiny bit, mirror back, and now we can do the clean lines. And that's it for today. Now I have to make a point that this is not enough to learn these things. You do the exercises and complicate it as much as you can, but the point of it is not to complicate it. The point of it is to get the ideas behind how to use the tools of perspective to, say, for example, place, transfer the scale in distance, place objects in perspective, understand how it works, why it works, and go from there. And hopefully this has been a good enough introduction, and I'll see you next time. By next time I mean tomorrow with the other part of the exercise. So thanks for watching. If you like the idea, please help me out by spreading the word in the social medias, leave a like, a subscribe, and I'll see you next time.